Hello, everyone, and welcome to the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys.
Drew, man, it's May 1st.
Countdown is?
I mean, what, 26 days, 25 days?
26 days, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a little bit later this year. I feel like Memorial Day was pretty early last year. Kicked off that season super early. So, but no, man, it's starting to feel like summer. Had an 80 degree day this week. You know, haven't gone down into the 40s at night like, we can do it this time of year. So that's been pretty good.
Nice day today for most of the day. Late in the afternoon, the wind shifted. It got a little ocean breeze, cooled us off a little bit, but it was a nice day.
That's good though, man. That brings the warm water in. Get that warm water in. We can get out there barebacking soon, Drew. Do you remember that term, what that means? Back in the day?
Do. Yes.
Nice, man. So, dude, our city council segment is all out there for those of you that haven't tuned into those. They should be all released as of Thursday.
Tomorrow, yeah. On Thursday, the last of them will come out on Spotify and Google Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts as well, too.
Apple Podcasts, yes.
Yeah, man, they had their the debate this week on Monday. And I'll tell you what, man, the gloves came off a little bit in that debate.
I heard there was I didn't see it, but I heard I wasn't there, but I heard there might have been a bomb or two dropped.
Oh man, I took Benny to get his haircut today, and I saw the copy of the Sentinel, and the front page had it was the Mainland Sentinel, not the Ocean City Sentinel, the Mainland Sentinel. Just to clarify that. And they had an article about it, and I started to read through it, and tell you what, quite a few candidates called a spade, and let some of the behind the scenes dirty laundry be aired. It was surprising, to say the least. So
it was there's definitely some bombs dropped. That's why you won't see me until May 15th.
Yeah, you don't like to ruffle any feathers, Drew. You definitely don't. I, on the other hand, start off my morning with my feathers all kinds of ruffled, Drew. All kinds of ruffled.
I could feel it in your text, Dom. Dude, you were hot.
I was hot this morning, man. And, this is a shout out to any of the other local parents who have school-age kids, K through 12, who participated in the Hunger Games. That is May 1st in Ocean City.
Hunger Games.
It is 100% the Hunger Games of Ocean City. And what I'm referring to is the registration process for summer camps. It is literally a no holds bar fight to the death at 9 a.m. on May 1st every single year to get your kid registered for the camp they want. And last year, the system crashed. So you had to go and register at the community center. It was the only place you could go. The system crashed. This year, the system did not crash. And by 9:03, everything was gone.
Yeah, don't you think about waiting until 9:05 to register for a sports camp.
You got to the morning sports you can get into. It's all the other camps that it's nearly like you can't put anything in your cart until 9 o'clock. You have to systematically get through and somehow get these camps for your kids. God forbid you put more than one camp in your cart at a time. It's literally.
And you have two kids. How many camps are they doing? Or how many were they trying to do?
We were trying to do a bunch. Unfortunately, though, you get kicked out if you try to register for a camp that's already been taken, and you got to start over.
Oh.
And literally by 9:03, everything was gone. And, it got me bothered because, they're great camps, and there's a reason that it is the Hunger Games. and I know I'm not the only parent that said this before, but why isn't there a local registration day? Why can't on April 30th, can the locals have a chance to register? And I'm not saying that you get the locals get like full carte blanche and can go in and take up the whole camp, because everybody deserves to have a piece and come and enjoy the camps.
Absolutely.
So, like, why can't you have like X amount of local seats per camp? And on April 30th, locals can go and try and register for those seats. If they get them, great, they're in the camp. If they're not, then they can try again the next day to get into like, the general population registration. And it just grinds my gears because Ocean City, so community. Well, it's summertime now, guys. So we appreciate you in the winter and everything you do in the winter for all of us. But come summertime, the tourists are here now. And if they want to get in and they need to do this, then, that's more important than a local kid going and experiencing one of these camps. And that just kind of, grinds my gears a little bit, to steal a line from Homer Simpson.
It clearly did this morning. Like, you texted me, I think, at 9:04.
Yep, I did at 9:04.
A little on the upset side.
Yeah.
So looking at both sides of the coin, right? Second homeowners who spend the summer down here, vacationers who want to enjoy the camps, nothing against them. And they make up a big part of it, right? So it's great that and it's one of the reasons that people come to Ocean City, right? And we don't want to spoil that. We don't want to anger anybody by prioritizing locals over second homeowners or vacationers. But you make a good point. I wasn't prepared for you to have such a rational argument that maybe a percentage of each camp could be open to locals a day in advance. Maybe it's a certain number of spots. Maybe it's a percentage of spots open to locals, and if they're filled by locals on that day, then if you're a local and you want to get into it, then you have to go through the process like everybody else. And if they're not, at least you've given the opportunity, right? You've given the locals the opportunity, which is, I think it would be a good resolution. And you're an IT guy, you could probably figure out how to do that.
True. It's a really simple, really simple fix on their part. Trust me, I thought about it quite a bit today. Like, just send out an email through school, put out a message in Power School to parents and say, hey, here's the link to register. You're only going to get the link if your kid's registered in Ocean City and you're technically a local kid, so,
right.
And then you just make products available to them on the back end that say, hey, there's 5 seats in this camp. Once it sells out, it sells out. And that's it. And then, like you said, if you don't get it the next day, all right, there's 15 seats available in this camp and they're up for grabs for everybody. And, just to me, that shows a appreciation for the community. It shows appreciation for the kids because it's the Ocean City Rec Department. It's not the summertime traveler vacation rec department. Give our kids a chance to have a little bit of an advantage here, who play your sports all year round, who are involved in these programs all the time, and that's me on my soapbox for the day.
And looking at it from the other side of the coin, right? The second homeowner, the vacationer, that's not asking for too much, right? You're not asking for every local resident to get a free beach tag, right? You're not.
Oh no, I'm asking for that too. We should definitely get 2 free beach tags per home, but that's a different story.
I'm not sure that's probably a non-starter. But my point is that even if you were a second homeowner who spends the entire summer down at the shore, I don't think that you would begrudge Ocean City for allowing a certain number of seats per camp for the local kids. I don't see how you could begrudge that, right? So I don't think it's an overreach, Dom.
And of course, native kids of natives, they automatically get
Oh,
into every camp. It doesn't matter.
well, of course.
They don't even have to register. They
They
just
don't
show up.
register. They just show up.
They just show up and bam, they're in. So, you know, but that's a
I
different
think you
story.
should take this to city council, and I think you should do it before the election.
Oh yeah, because they're definitely
Paying attention.
you know, hey, maybe one of them will listen and hear this, and when it comes time to get elected, they'll say, "Oh, hey, that might be a halfway decent idea from this lunatic."
Well, I know we have at least one city councilman who's a regular listener.
Wow.
And he's been on our show.
Well, they've all been on at this point, Drew.
Well, yeah, most.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but no, like I just think like, hey, it's not that hard of a thing to do technology wise, and you know, I'm not saying, and like I said, like you said, Drew, I'm not saying that, you know, local kids only in these camps or anything like that by any means. Just give us an advantage to. I won't even say give us an advantage. Give us some seats that we can register for beforehand, so that we're not lumped into this giant pool of so many people. Like I can't imagine how many people all over the Northeast were sitting at their computer at 9 a.m. today. Like refresh. It's like trying to buy Taylor Swift tickets or something. Like that's what I would equate it to. But I'm telling you, 3 minutes gone.
Yeah.
It was like
I know. Believe me,
trying to buy
dude.
tickets to the state championship basketball game. Gone. 1 minute gone.
Right.
You know,
I remember going through it, Dom. We kind of, Kirsten and I kind of made the decision at some point that it's just we're not going to do the camps. It's just too big a hassle.
Yeah, it's like I'm already strategizing for next year. I kid you not. Like I got some ideas, I got some plans.
You don't want to hack the system.
No, I'm not going to go that far, but you know, I would tell you them, but like I said, it's the Hunger Games. I can't divulge my secrets to any potential other parents that are listening because
that's right.
You know, I love you all the time, except for those 3 minutes on May 1st. That's when it's all no holds bar.
All right. So
you got any shout outs for us today, Drew? Because I'm done.
Thank
you everyone for listening to my rant. I appreciate it. You can all bill my insurance later for therapy. I appreciate it.
So I do have a couple shout outs, and being that you were trying to register your children, one of the shout outs is to your son, my main man, Benedetto Dougherty. Benny plays for the Expos in our local Little League program, the OCYAA. Benny had a game. Benny had a really nice hit. He had a really nice attempt at a bunt. I've been trying to encourage him to bunt because he's fast, and bunts produce in Little League because the fielding is not fantastic and bunting is not encouraged, put it to you that way. And he had a really nice play in the field and some really good backups in the field, which I appreciated. So shout out to Benedetto Dougherty.
And you know, I'm gonna piggyback on that real quick and give a shout out to the whole team. You know, for a group of kids who, you know, don't really practice together, who kind of just get thrown together at the beginning of the season, they've come together and really gelled and showed a lot of resilience. You got a lot of young players on that team for Little League. You know, a lot of them are you know, 9, 10 going up against 12-year-olds. And at that age, that makes a big difference.
It does.
And, you know, got to give a shout out to the coaches, you know, Rick Lento, Rotundi, Tom Rotundi, and Nick Winsmore and Rocco Rossetti. They all help out.
And Rocco, right.
You know,
you got a good coaching staff there. You got a really good coaching staff there.
Yeah. And, you know, I think I attribute a lot of the success the kids are having and the way they gel together, the way those guys work together. You know, you can see that they all work together. They all play off each other. They all have nothing but positive things to say about the kids, you know, and are good role models for the kids. So, you know, shout 100%. Out to
there's 4 guys that if my son were playing any sport really, but if my son were playing Little League right now, I would want any of those 4 coaches coaching my son. 100%.
Yeah, no, they're good guys, and you know, got a good young team, fun to watch, very gritty, a lot of gritty games.
Yeah.
You know,
They work hard.
so,
All right. So moving on. The second shout out is to the OCHS girls flag football team.
yeah,
They
new
won
this year.
today. I'm sorry?
It's new this year.
No, it was second year, actually.
Second year, okay.
Yeah, second year. It's second year. They're a club sport. Second year that's been sanctioned by the NJSIAA, and by next season, it's going to be a varsity sport.
Wow.
And Ocean City has a very young team. There's no seniors on the team. Their quarterback is a freshman. They have a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. There's 22 kids on the team, and they beat Pleasantville 20-6 today, and are 2-1 on the season. Savannah Rolls is the freshman quarterback, and kid's got a gun. There's a kid named Kaya Ray. I think she's a sophomore. And Dom, you think I'm fast? This girl has some wheels, man. She can fly. And
maybe you should race her.
And she would blow my doors in, believe me. And a good football player. She knows the game. You can tell she's got a nose for the ball. Really good, good little player. And so they won, and they're 2-1. So shout out to the girls flag football team. My final shout out.
Wait a minute. Speaking of flag football, I'm going to shout out my own kid. Threw 8 touchdown passes this weekend in his game. 7 of them to his buddy Jackson Donovan from
8 touchdown passes.
Yeah, 8 touchdown passes. 7 of them
that
to
beats Nick Foles.
Listen, 7
Nick
of them.
7 as an Eagle.
Yes, 8 touchdown passes. 7 of them were to his buddy Jackson Donovan from Linwood, who he's been playing with in the spring for four seasons now. And I'll tell you what, though, 4 of them were legit touchdown passes. The other 4 of them were Jackson just making people miss and just turning on the wheels. Their team's playing really well. They're gelling, and it's fun to see them have some success on the field, at least in flag after a tough injury riddled tackle season this year.
Yeah.
But no,
good for you, Benny.
Not to steal the thunder of the Ocean City girls flag football team. Congrats on your win over longtime rival Pleasantville.
Yeah, good stuff, Ben. So my final is to shout out is to Carissa Kelly. Carissa, as probably everyone knows by now, was in a car accident at 18th and Bay. She was on a bicycle, pretty significant injuries. Carissa is now home, and thankfully, by all accounts, is beginning her road to recovery. So shout out to Carissa. We wish you well.
Awesome. That's great news. Yeah, I know after the flood of information that came out last week or the week before, it's good to hear an update that things are going well and we're on our road to recovery.
Yeah.
So I got one more shout out, and then we'll wrap this all up, and we'll get into our topic today, Boardwalk Etiquette. My shout out is to you, Drew Fasy. You. Last week, I called Drew randomly, and I said, yo, Drew, come on. I need you to come help me. I got to go buy this grill off Facebook Marketplace. Now, listen, neither of us ended up dead, so that's a plus. But we took a nice drive through scenic Dennis Township, and went and picked up this incredibly heavy grill. And Drew was like, yeah, sure. Screw it. Let's go. Dropped what he was doing, took us. And then, we got back to OC, and our buddy Ken came and helped us because 2 of us we needed him big time. But Drew, man, I spent a good amount of time getting that thing all clean. It looks brand new now. So going to have some barbecue soon. And you and Kier and Lulu are more than welcome to come over and hang out.
Well, you caught me. You called me when I was in the car on my way somewhere, and I didn't have my Rolodex of excuses at the ready. So yeah. And, it was a good drive. I mean, we went down that road. I forget what road it was, but I don't think I had ever been on that road before out in South Dennis, was it, Dom?
South Dennis, but we were like right by 47. It was like almost like main the main drag there. It was pretty. There were a lot of nice old homes. It was cool.
It was very cool. It was very
Yeah.
cool. Nice old homes, and where you bought the grill was a beautiful big property. Yeah, that was good times until we had to lift on and off.
Yeah, listen, cleaning it was not much more fun either. That was.
Oh, I'll bet. Nice grill though.
I think I put like 10 hours into it.
Oof.
Nice, but it's worth it. It's
I'm not sure we were getting that thing off the back of your truck without Ken's help.
No, there was no way.
No
way. It would have literally smashed to the pieces on the street, and I would have cried. So, but anyway, we're going to take a quick break here from our sponsors, and when we get back, we're going to discuss Boardwalk etiquette. It's getting nice out. More and more people are getting on the boardwalk, and it's something that's definitely got to be addressed now.
Got to be talked about, man.
Sooner rather than later. All right. So we'll see you on the other side. All right, everyone, we're back. And today's episode is to discuss boardwalk etiquette. You know, Drew, on Sunday, I think it was, we had a registration for the Junior Raiders, an early event up at Gillies. And Ben and I rode our bikes up there, and the boardwalk was packed. I mean, it was difficult to ride your bike on the boardwalk. You know, you're still allowed to ride your bike on the boardwalk any time of day up until Memorial Day. It was wild though. There were people everywhere, all over the place, and you know, it was great. It was good to see people. It was nice to have people back. You know, it's there for everyone to enjoy. You know, and that's great. Got to understand the unwritten rules though.
Let's discuss them.
Please.
So, little history. You know, one of the crown jewels of America's greatest family resort, the Ocean City Boardwalk. It spans 2.5 miles and runs from St. James Place to 23rd Street. The boardwalk was first built in 1880 and at the time ran from 2nd Street to 4th Street. In 1885, plans were made to build a boardwalk the entire length of the island, but obviously never came to fruition. It was lengthened at various times over the years, and it was damaged by storms and rebuilt and reconfigured numerous times. And in 1927, a catastrophic fire burned basically the entire boardwalk, or much of the boardwalk. The boardwalk was then rebuilt on concrete pilings 300 feet closer to the ocean in pretty much its current configuration, although there's been changes, there's been storms and damage and what have you, but it's basically where it is now. The Music Pier opened on the boardwalk in 1929. There's a couple of restaurants on the north end, Oves and Browns, but the most of the retail, amusements, other attractions, and restaurants are confined to 6th Street, between 6th Street and 14th Street. And as a note, Dom, you'll be interested in this. The first Boardwalk Hotel, possibly not the last Boardwalk Hotel, but the first Boardwalk Hotel was the Breakers on Delancey Place. It opened in 1912 and closed in 1970. So the Boardwalk currently serves as a byway for biking, walking, and jogging. Distance is marked every quarter mile. From May 15th to Labor Day, And on Saturdays between Labor Day and Indian Summer Weekend, bike traffic is limited to the hours between 5 a.m. and 12 p.m. for safety.
May 15th?
Yes, May 15th. That's the date.
I always thought it was a Memorial Day.
Nope, May 15th. I want to get people used to not riding. So it's 2 weeks, generally 2 weeks before Labor Day. With the exception of Ocean City School District children who ride to and from school by bike. They are allowed to return home on their bike after school. And I was actually involved in changing the ordinance to allow that because kids would, at the beginning and end of the school year, kids would ride their bikes to school on the boardwalk for safety and for ease, really, especially at the high school, but then not be allowed to ride home on the boardwalk. And we changed that ordinance to allow school children to ride on the boardwalk to be safer.
Smart.
Yep. And council, the administration supported it. Council unanimously approved it. So that's a little known kind of asterisk to that ordinance. So etiquette. A while back.
Wait. Before we get into etiquette here,
Okay.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
I almost think that we could extend those hours and get it and be okay. I feel like by noon, a lot of people are on the beach. A lot of people are, it's hot. Not a lot of people want to be riding their bike. I could see us taking it to maybe 3 o'clock, 3:30. Maybe as an experiment one time. Just because, like you said, it's safer. So, if kids want to go meet up with their friends, a lot of times I want to go take my kids down to the beach. Can't go to the beach at 8th Street. It's jam-packed. So I'm going down to 20th Street, but I got to ride on the road and stuff. If I could just take the boardwalk down, it might be a little bit safer. Just saying, maybe I could get a locals only card or something that could let me do that.
So as you know, if you were a native, you would be allowed to do that.
That's true. I forgot.
But you're just a local, so
just a local.
And as you also know, change is difficult in small towns. Ocean City not being any different than most small towns. So, trying to sell changing that from noon to 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
unless
bit of an uphill battle.
Unless it's a variance for a developer, change is hard. Change is hard.
Okay, so etiquette. So this is a starting point. Okay. But I think it's a good starting point. A couple points. So on the boardwalk, there are lanes for runners from the center out in both directions. Runners, bicycles, and surreys in that order. Honor the marked lanes.
And the pedestrians on the outside.
So pedestrians on the outside. So honor the marked lanes. If you're a runner, run in the runner's lane. If you're a bicycle in the bicycle lane. If you're a surrey, stay in the surrey lane. If you're just walking down the boardwalk, get out of the lanes. Right?
Yeah. And look, if you're a couple feet over here and there, that's one thing. If you are a family completely just, zigzagging your way through the boardwalk, that's a totally different story.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, with those lanes, I think those lanes do help. I think people, for the most part, do.
For the most part,
adhere to
I
them.
agree.
You definitely have those people, though, who are tourists in New York City just walking around staring at all the skyscrapers. And it's like, yo, guys, come on, like keep it moving here a little bit. But I'm always impressed at how few accidents there are on the boardwalk every summer, with the amount of people doing the different various amounts of activities on the boardwalk, the loose lanes that are there, and the very loose enforcement of them somehow keeps everybody moving along.
Well, I think the way they laid out those lanes had some thought to it, right? The runners had the inside lanes. If you had the bicyclists or the Surreys on the inside lanes, there'd be head-on collisions on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, and the pedestrians on the outside, like if you want to shop, you're there. If you're just kind of easing and looking at the ocean and enjoying that, you have your own space, and if you're running,
conceptually it works, but
yeah,
we all have to honor the lanes, right?
For sure.
So number 2, look both ways before crossing. So if you're going to the beach and you're coming off the street up to the boardwalk, across the boardwalk and down to the beach, there's traffic going north and south. And man, just like you're on the street, you better look, because if you have a bicyclist, even if they're casually riding their bike, you can't just walk out in front of them. Right?
Who has the right of way? That's the real question here, and I would argue that it's the flow of the traffic on the boardwalk that has the right of way.
I would argue the same. Yes.
If you are trying to cross the boardwalk to get to the beach, that's great. You must yield, though. You got to yield. The people on the boardwalk.
I totally agree, Dom, and take that to the street. If you're looking to cross the street, regardless of current laws, if you have a 2,000-pound vehicle doing 25 miles an hour, you better yield to that vehicle. Just common sense tells you to yield to that vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Same with crossing the boardwalk. Common sense tells you to yield with the majority of the traffic.
And 100%. And it goes for even if you're walking and you want to cross the boardwalk, turn around and look and see what's behind you before you just decide to cross the boardwalk. There's so many times where, people will start in the pedestrian lane and they'll just they're like, oh, I want to go over to the pavilion to sit down and enjoy my funnel cake or my Krabby Fries or, and they'll just aimlessly walk across in an angle. And you're like, all right, guys, there's people here, other people are moving, look behind you. It's not going to hurt you if you're in the flow of traffic and you want to cross.
So which leads me to the next, which is not only look both ways before crossing, but look behind you before stopping. Nothing bugs me more when I'm walking down the boardwalk and a family of 5 who generally speaking are walking shoulder to shoulder, they see something in a store that holds their interest and they stop, and it's harder to break stride and get around a family of 5 abreast, so look behind you before just stopping.
It's really just the fact, look, enjoy it, have fun, love the boardwalk. We all love it. It's one of the great things, like you said, one of the crown jewels of Ocean City. Just be mindful, though, that there's other people who are enjoying it as well, too.
Yep.
And everyone's enjoying it in their own certain special way. For you, it might be going for a brisk walk. For someone else, it might be shopping. Just look around and be mindful of the other people that are there.
Yep. All right, next up, move Surreys, bikes, and bodies to the edge of the boardwalk when you stop to keep traffic flowing. Kind of same topic, right?
Yeah, man. Just let it flow. Let it do its thing.
Let it flow. Let it flow. There you go, Dom. Let it flow.
Just let it flow. Let it happen. Let the boardwalk be the boardwalk and in all its majestic beauty, just do its thing. You know, I will say this though, there are some areas of the boardwalk where this is almost impossible. The line for Manco Manco. Someone's got to figure out how to work that in a way so that everybody feels comfortable. Like, hey, I'm the next one in line to get a pizza, without having it go across the boardwalk and then snake down up against the thing. Like, you know, it's good pie. It's a great time to sit at the counter at a table and have a slice of pizza or enjoy something with your family. Lots of good dudes that work there, and good stuff. Like, we got to figure out that line.
So Brown's figured it out. Brown's has
the donuts.
Yeah, Brown's Donuts. They have feet painted along the railing, so that to stand, form the line along the railing and not across the boardwalk.
Brown's is a little different. Like you're at First Street. It's not like a major artery like 9th Street is.
I agree. It's the narrow part of the boardwalk so it could be problematic, but there's definitely not as much traffic. As Manco.
That line would go. This is just me off the top of my head, though. You could go down the side of the building. You know what I mean? Like down the ramp towards being off the boardwalk against the side of the building
at Manco.
And that would alleviate some of the congestion.
I think let's go Kramer and go vertical. Let's go levels.
Levels, man. It's all about levels.
Just like a next up, that's right. Or spiral them up. Yeah. Understand that walking 4 or 5 abreast blocks traffic, particularly at the narrow ends of the boardwalk. So again, same thing, pet peeve. You got a family of 9, right? Grandparents, their children, their spouses, their grandchildren, and they're walking just, abreast along the boardwalk, and they're strolling. I want to move. I have a promenade cheesesteak to get to. I gotta go.
Especially in those other lanes, like one of the things I never could grasp is okay, I'm walking on the boardwalk. It's the middle of July. There's nobody in front of me for 10 feet, or there's no one in front of me for, let's say, 30 or 40 feet. I look to my left, and the person to the left of me is standing at the white line, and they're walking basically on that white line in the narrow sections. And I look to my right, and there's the benches and the railing. You got to be thinking wow, my party is holding up this whole section of the boardwalk right now.
You would think, but
and then all of a sudden there's a break and people just start flying past you. It's
right.
Come on. Or the amount of times you come so close, or you're going really slow behind someone. In the north end, I think it's really a north end thing, is the bell on the bike. And the ting 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 ting. Oh man, that come on, on my left, or just be patient and wait. The bell though, that's definitely a north end thing.
It
and
is.
The other thing too is, I understand all the families want to walk on the boardwalk and enjoy it, and it's a great memory. If your child is learning how to walk, or is still at that phase where they're going to dart off and go in any direction at any given time, it might not be best to have them walking at least between the hours of 9 and 12 when bikes are on the boardwalk. When it's just people walking around, that's a different story. On Sunday, I had a little kid, and I swear to God, this is true, Drew, beelining straight at my bike. I slam on my brakes, and the kid comes up and just grabs the spokes of my bike. And I'm and the dad's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I'm like, that's cool, man. You're all good. I get it. Like, but this kid, like, if you had someone else who wasn't, aware of the boardwalk and what it can be, like, that little kid would have been, wouldn't have been a good situation. So, like, if your kids are not the best at walking, 9 to 12 is not the time to go for a walk at night. Enjoy it. Take them out, let them run around, let them, bump into people. But when those bikes are out there, probably not a good idea.
Dangerous. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Finally, use the road, not the boardwalk, for training or speed on a bicycle. You would think that this is just common sense, right? That 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning, you shouldn't be, dressed in spandex, trying to get your miles in on the boardwalk. But you see these guys up there and they're flying and they just lack common sense. That's not what the boardwalk is meant for. February, have at it. Right?
Well, I think you
want to go as fast as you can on the boardwalk in February, have at it. Summer, no bueno.
Well, it's not even just the cyclists. I think you have some people on mountain bikes who are just flying around on the boardwalk at those times.
And we're not even going to get into the e-bikes, Dom. We're not going near that.
No, we're staying away from those.
We're staying away from the e-bikes.
I agree with you, though. I have seen an increase in the number of people who are trying to teach their kid how to ride their bike on the boardwalk.
No bueno.
You know where actually a really good place to teach your kid to ride their bike is? At low tide on the beach. That is a great place to teach your kid how to ride a great place to teach your kid to ride their bike. The sand is soft. If they fall, they're not going to get wickedly hurt. It's hard. The sand's soft, but it's hard enough though to support them on their bike because they don't really weigh that much, and you're not going to have anybody around. You don't really have to worry about too much, and you still, if you're looking for that ambiance, that I learned how to ride my bike on the boardwalk. Well, you learn how to ride your bike on the beach. That's even better, if you ask me. But that's a great place to go to teach your kid how to ride their bike. And,
and if your kid's still on training wheels, no, not the boardwalk. No, just no.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if that adheres to what I like to refer to as the South End Boardwalk. And that's what I call Central Avenue between 34th Street and 59th Street. I call that the South End Boardwalk. Because if you ever go down there around the times between 9 and 12, you basically have all of the activities of the boardwalk taking place on Central Avenue there. You got cyclists, kids learning how to ride their bike, people running, people walking. So I call that the South End Boardwalk.
Getting back to the history of the boardwalk, maybe the city should have built the boardwalk the length of the island. Maybe they should have followed through with those plans.
They are going to expand it from 5th to 1st. Isn't that correct? Isn't that part of the grant they got?
From 5th to 1st.
Yeah, aren't they going to widen it in that area?
Oh, widen it. Oh, yes, I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, expand, widen.
I was talking the length of the boardwalk or the length of the island. There was plans for that, but you could never do that today.
Why not?
The lawsuits that would come at the city. So some of our
just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. The lawsuits that would come at the city.
Yeah,
just leave
building
it at
a boardwalk in front of a home that doesn't currently have a boardwalk. No, that wouldn't fly.
But if they want to add 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms and half a parking spot, they better let them.
No, 5 bedrooms, you need 0 parking spots. It's above
That's
5
true.
bedrooms, you need half a parking spot.
That's my bad. So, I really feel that those, just take a second, just recap the kind of pillars here of boardwalk etiquette that we established.
Honor the marked lanes for runners, bicycles, and surreys. Look both ways before crossing. Look behind you before stopping. Move your surrey, bike, or your body to the edge of the boardwalk when you stop. Remember, bicycles are allowed on the boardwalk until noon during the summer. Understand that walking 4 or 5 abreast blocks traffic. Use the road, not the boardwalk, for training or speed on a bicycle. Those are the pillars.
No, I think that's
and guard your French fries from the seagulls with or without the hawks. I just added that one.
Yeah. Well, the Hawks were out this weekend.
Were they?
Yep.
They're effective. I have to say they are effective.
Yep.
The boardwalk has changed dramatically since they introduced the Hawks,
yeah.
Falcons, and Owls, right?
Yep. Yeah. No.
Yeah. It's a different place. It's a much it's a much better experience eating on the boardwalk today than it was before they introduced the birds. No question about it.
I'm just trying to think of anything else. Like those are some really solid pillars to build a foundation of etiquette on. And with a lot of what the city did last year,
we can add to it, Dom.
We can,
don't wear your pants below your buttocks on the boardwalk.
Hey, listen, that's a different story for a different time. That's
don't play your music that I don't want to hear too loud.
Drew, you do that every baseball game to everybody. and nobody says anything. So
the key to that was music that I don't want to hear.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think you're, I think we're straying off here, and I think we established a good pillars of etiquette. I think if you can follow those 6 rules and let the boardwalk flow and be what it is without you being a deterrent to that, everyone will enjoy the boardwalk in its own special way and in their own special way. So,
yep. Be
aware,
and be mindful of other people, be kind, and we'll all enjoy the boardwalk.
And, maybe mid-July we can revisit this topic and see, boardwalk etiquette part 2. There's nothing to say we can't come back to it because it's going to evolve as the boardwalk evolves.
It might be interesting to involve a boardwalk merchant in this conversation.
Yeah,
that's a little different perspective,
Ooh, yeah, because we're talking more about the actual boardwalk, but what's the etiquette when you're, shopping? I think for them it's going to be mostly, hey, just pay for your stuff. Stop shoplifting.
Right. Don't steal my stuff.
Don't steal my stuff. Just pay me for my stuff.
Maybe we bring back Wes Kazmark. Maybe we bring back Jody Levchuk. I mean, it might be interesting to hear their perspective on boardwalk etiquette. And there's 2 guys who have been on our show before and have been on the boardwalk, their entire lives, really.
Yeah, or maybe we get wild and we go live on the boardwalk one night and we ask people walking by, what's your pet peeve and what do you think is a pillar of etiquette here on the boardwalk in Ocean City? I think that might be a good one.
Hey, let's go for it.
All right. First live show ever, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no, I think we did a good job. I think we covered enough today. It's a lot to digest for people to think about, especially those that unfortunately have probably never thought about that kind of stuff before.
Right.
So, this has been the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. Looking forward to having you on the boardwalk with your newfound sense of etiquette soon. We are
26
Good Local
days.
Guy. 26 days, baby. 26 days. Until then, we're your hosts, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys.
Peace out, everybody.
What the heck is that?
I picked a different music by accident. It's kind of trippy. I like it.